Authors, episode number 9. We have Melissa Harris in the house, in the digital house. So anyway, without further ado, I want to remind everyone that an empty room is just a story waiting to happen, and you are the author. And I love that. Everyone in this world is out there, and we're writing our own stories every single day. We got the pen, we got the paper, and we can take it off in any direction we want to go. So if you want to write a better story, then start looking for incredible inspirations all around you. And that's what this is all about. This is our room where we get to create magic through inspiration. And I get to welcome you into the life behind the storyteller as they tell their story. And that is today's episode around Melissa Harris. So lucky to have met her and her wonderful book. She's the author of 1 pound, 12 ounces. It's a memoir. And any of you guys out there struggling with the stories around, childbirth for one, but even before that, having conceived and going through difficult times with fertility, this is an incredible book to delve into. I gave it a 5-star review, and I like to say that my reviews are always, looking for the best in the author. And this is definitely something that'll move you, as well as, have you cheering for her. And I know that she definitely is someone who, in return, will hold you and cheer you on as well, if that's something that you're going through. So bravo to you, Melissa. Let me introduce you. And without further ado, this is a single mother of 2 children living in Oakland, California, where she was raised. She's on a fast track to being a partner in a mid-sized ad agency when she gave birth to her second child, Sam, and the trajectory of her life changed. Melissa is now a work from home account manager for 2 virtual creative agencies in the Bay Area. In her free time, if she has that, she drives kids from activities to appointments to playdates, volunteers at the neonatal intensive care unit at Alta Bates Hospital, where Sam was born, and helps her congresswoman fight for better health care for all Americans. I need to take a breath before that. She now lives in Oakland. And, I think it's kind of interesting. We all hold each other up to this incredible standard. It's like,
yep.
You have free time there, Melissa? I'm not sure. I don't even know where you fit it in. And I'm so grateful you have this time for me. So thank you.
No, thank you for taking the time for me. Yeah, free time is one of those things we talk about. It's sort of it's a theory. Not many of us have it. I like to pretend I do.
I think we have responsibilities. We know that we jump into our lives, all yay. But I think maybe some of that free time, we need to sit back, maybe on the balcony, lock it from our children, and then just drink a cup of coffee and breathe. So without further ado, one of my favorite things about this amazing author series is that I get to jump behind and find out the story of you. And we have here today Dr. Halden, Suzanne, Leslie joining us to support you on this journey as well, so we can get a glimpse into the beginnings of this particular dream. And I will say dream because your book is the dream of being a mother again, the second time around, which was only shattered when a fertility doctor told you that you may never have another child due to a physical anomaly in your uterus. So, I really do want to get to the heart and soul of you, because I do like to know more. And I'm like an author, like stalker. When they get me excited, I like, tell me about you. What's the story of you? So I want you to share with us, who are you, and why is it that this is your calling in the world?
Well, it became my calling. It wasn't my calling at first. I think, until you have a life-changing moment, I don't think you really know who you really are. And going through struggles with something I never knew existed, which is secondary infertility. I went from my now ex-husband and I were like, let's have a baby. And I was pregnant a month later. So it just never occurred to me that building the family I wanted and having a kid was going to be a struggle. And then as I struggled through it, and I miscarried multiple times in advance of having Sam, I had to have 9 different surgeries to correct the abnormality in my uterus. I mean, it was a struggle, but I went through so much of it alone and quietly that a lot of people didn't know what was going on. And I became withdrawn and, sad, and my marriage started falling apart, and all this stuff impacted me. And then you know, I'm pregnant with Sam. It's like, okay, that didn't happen, whatever. And then Sam's birth was anything but normal since he decided to make an appearance at only 24 weeks. And again, that's something that you kind of do quietly because no one talks about this.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I started reading up on it. 1 in 8 babies in the United States are born premature every year. It's something like 1 in 5 pregnancies in the US end up in miscarriage. Infertility is more common than you realize. And it's like, well, if it's that common, why don't we talk about it? And
There's so much we don't talk about. I find what you're saying and the suffering in silence is, I think it's a tragedy. I think a tragedy of our times, and especially as women. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to make it a point that, you know, the stress of all of that, especially if you feel like you're really unique in this experience and you're the only one out there who's going through it, it must be shattering in many respects. I mean, how did you like hold it together?
not gracefully. I think partly, at least in the beginning, I held it together because I had a daughter and I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Then the way I really held it together with Sam is I wrote. I wrote every single day. I would come home from the hospital. I would spend 8 or 9 hours in the hospital with him every day for 95 days. And you're bombarded with all this stuff because you can get there and things are fine. And then midday, he can tank. By the time you leave, it's like, what are you talking about? It's been a normal day. And you get home and you've got all this information and all these things that have happened and you have to process them. And I started to write, and I wrote every single day when I got home. Some days it was, he was boring and did nothing but sleep. And other days I would really process through everything that happened. And that's how I got through it, is writing and putting it all out there for anyone to see and read is what got me through that experience.
I find it, you know, one of the things that's coming up for me right now is that when we speak front to, you know, to each other, you lose a little of the courage, right, to say what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
When you write, it's kind of like a relationship between you and the page, and it's kind of an invitation to someone to take that page and then, you know, join you on that journey. But like you said, still in a very silent manner. Now, I mean, certainly you working with your congressperson, you know, getting out there and you've empowered your voice. You're out there now speaking up. You kind of like built the courage from, you know, the unlikely, speaker on this particular issue, because you said, I didn't know it until it happened to me, right? We never know what we're made of until those things happen. We just never know what it is that's going to be our wake-up call to who knows what, right? So now, how old is Sam now?
Sam is 11 and a half. And just, you would if you lined him up in a room and said, okay, which one of these kids was a micro preemie? He is the last one you pick, because he has physically, you'd be like, not that one, because he's tall and he's big. Yeah.
So tell me, you have your cover of your book. I want you to show it on screen if you don't mind. You just got recognition today for this beautiful cover. It's 1 pound, 12 ounces. You just got recognition by the Eric Hoffer Awards.
Yep.
For the beautiful cover design. But I don't want anyone to stop there, because the beauty really is in the pages where she shares her heart and soul with all of us. And the reality is, if you know someone, and I'm not just doing the pitch right now, if you know someone who's going through this and who may be suffering in silence and you don't have the words yourself, maybe share this memoir. I think that's the beauty of memoir, because memoir is in fact inviting you into how I got through this. And maybe something that might help you along the way when you don't feel like you got it anymore. We don't got this anymore. And I want to go back to you, because I think I want to know, well, I would like you to tell me a little bit about the journey toward publication, because I think that is also a courageous endeavor where you have to, you know, flesh through everything, flesh through all the unknowns out there, just like you had to do when your baby was a micro preemie and you didn't know what the heck was going on. And Suzanne saying, thanking your doctors that he is the healthy boy he is today.
Yeah. So getting to the book, I mean, like I said, I wrote every day. And so I had a blog that I was keeping every day. And it started as a letter to my brother, who was living in Southern Africa at the time.
I love that.
And, you know, he was like, you know, Melissa, we have family all around the world. And he's like, they're going to want to keep in touch too. So as opposed to just writing me a letter, why don't you find a place where you can put it up and anyone can read it? I was like, all right. So I started that. And so I had this wealth of details and content and information. And a friend of mine who's a bookseller said, you know, Melissa, this needs to be a book. I was like,
yeah,
go. You know, how it does it? She's like, no, it does. And, you know, we talked a lot about how when I was having Sam, I knew nothing about preemies, nothing. And there's, you know, a Dr. Sears style book about preemies by the amazing Jennifer Gunter called The Preemie Primer. But that's like, you know, what to expect when you have a preemie kind of thing. And then there are a lot of books written by doctors that had preemies, but it's very, I'm a doctor, so let me explain this to you.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know, it's all in God's hands, just let God take the wheel. And that's like, no, I want the wheel. And so there was nothing out there that I could find that was just, it's going to suck. It's going to be great. It's going to suck. It's going to be great. And so I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. And I found that writing it, again, you know, taking what I had written already and then revising it was very, very therapeutic for me. But also I was like, God, if I had had a book like this when I was in the NICU, it would have helped me so much.
Yeah.
So it's like a combination of, I wanted to do it because it is a good story. I wanted to do it because I have the content, and why not? I wanted to do it because it would help other people. And so it was like, oh.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I have a very dear friend of mine who started this group called ICU Baby. And it's interesting because she had this need, this philanthropic needs to help those mothers who were in the ICU or the NICU going through what is something that you just can't fathom at the time. But it's, and on the top of that, you're dealing with all the hormones of pregnancy. So you're just like, you're like, it's good, it's bad, it's good. And then you're like, the hormones hit you. And for anyone who's had a baby after you give birth, it's a crapshoot as to what's going to happen, whether you're going to be elated or you're just going to be like, you know, just drained. And I laugh because, you know, the baby boot camp, when you know, there's always the baby boot camp. We all have the baby boot camp, but on the NICU level, that's another level. I don't even know I don't even know how you got through it. Obviously I do because I read your book, but you know, what is the one? So now your memoir is published. It's out there. It's out there for everyone to go get a copy today, and everyone to read, and everyone to connect. And if, like I said, if you know someone going through this and you don't have the words yourself, you know, definitely share what this resource, because I think memoir is that. It's a resource for people to get enlightened in an area where maybe the doctors are speaking to you, but you can't hear anything but like this, ta 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 ta, or you know, it's just so esoteric that you're just like, but this is my feeling. I'm going through it now. So tell me, now that you published it, what advice like would you give on the writing side of it now to anyone out there who's going through a moment in time where they feel like they're pulled?
Just write. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's good. Doesn't matter if it's grammatically correct. Doesn't matter if anyone's going to read it, but just write it. Go for it. Write.
Yeah.
I mean, writing saved me, saved my sanity, kept me like, just write.
So what is your vision now for this? Now that your book is out there, Sam's doing well. I mean, you're, like I said, you are finding the time in your life to raise two beautiful children. At the same time, you know, you still run your business and you're still doing a lot of work to, you know, level up, you know, the awareness around, you know, the preemie issue and parents that are going through that. I mean, look, if we're going to be compassionate individuals, we have to realize that, you know, there are women out there. There are women who have challenges with babies as well as when they're having birth or afterwards. It's just not over. You know, when you send the baby home. I would say there always should be a manual when you send the baby home. But what about you? Like, what is your vision for your future trajectory with all of this?
And you're not the first person to ask me this recently, and I feel like I've sort of found a mission in life, and that it's a lot of it is tied to the state of things in this country and with the attacks on reproductive rights and everything that's going on, is I just feel like it's my mission to bring miscarriage, infertility, prematurity out of the shadows, to bring it into everyday conversation. When the Supreme Court talks about whether or not, the viability line and how important that viability line is, well, okay, let's educate people to what viability means.
Right.
As I had a child at the viability line, and it's not like you go home with a bouncing baby. It's millions of dollars in medical care, long-term health effects. I mean, let's really have conversations. And so I've just sort of decided that my mission is to be as outspoken, vocal, loud as I can be, and to try and raise these things from the darkness and bring them into the light so people really, one, talk about it and understand.
I do think, something really wonderful has come out of something that was really challenging in your life through the writing process, which is a beautiful thing because, we all are, humans are expressive and we're creative beings, and every one of us, and that you're able to be a real inspiration and help other people. That's what makes you an amazing author, and a person for that matter. I do like to know what are the your book was published in October 2021, correct? So it's been it's been a couple months now. So, what are your takeaways for others who may be, about to launch a book or have launched a book? What are your takeaways, your highs? I like your stars.
For me, I think it helped raise my profile enough. I published an op-ed in the San Francisco Chronicle about the issue of viability when it comes to talking about Roe v. Wade. I just think it's talking to people and getting out there and sort of having people go, God, I didn't know that. It's like, I know you didn't. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So for me, and then seeing pictures of people holding my book in other parts of the world is really cool. Like, I know there's a copy of my book in Swaziland. Like, fantastic.
That happened.
My brother's wife's sister or something to that effect. But there's copies of my book in South America and in France, and that's kind of like, oh, that's so cool. So there's some of the giddiness of it too, that is just like, look what I did. I did that.
Oh my God.
And that's just, it's a fun feeling.
I do like to say when a light goes on, right, in someone, and they start coming alive to the possibilities of their life and speaking in ways that are inspiring to others so that you can pass it and pay it forward. It's quite a beautiful thing. And as you were just saying that, I could see the light. I could see this bright light. And I'm a huge believer. Don't ever let anyone put that light out. Even there's challenges along the way, obstacles, don't let them put that light out, because that light will take you further than anybody else. And when you find that light, and with you, you find others who are attracted to you so that you can do and walk this journey together. So I definitely want to congratulate you on writing your story, never giving up on your dreams, because you are, October 2021, a published author. She Writes Press category for the fall. I'm not done yet with you, but I definitely want to make sure that we can align the audience to know where they can get your book, because I think, if there is someone out there who is listening and they're like, wow, this is really something special, I need to grab it, where can they buy it?
But I loved saying it, anywhere books are sold. So, Amazon, bookshop.org, or you can go and request it at your local bookstore.
Awesome. And, now I get to ask about you. What thing about you have you discovered that you didn't know before this whole process?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Well, I mean, before Sam, I would never have described myself as a very patient person. I was never one to be able to sit and kind of take a backseat and not have control.
Yeah.
But I learned is you can't control everything all the time, and that's okay. And so I've kind of learned how to be more zen about things, I guess is the best way to put it. That things are going to happen, and you're going to figure out a way to deal with them. It may not be graceful all the time. You may not do it beautifully, but you will be able to do it. You will find a way through.
I love that. That's really great advice, because especially now when we don't have a lot of control over some of the things that are going on in our world, right? And, you know, the stress might be really high, anxieties might be high. But if you step back and say, all right, well, we're going to get through this, whatever this is, and, you know, maybe not gracefully, maybe, but, you know, I want to say this. One of the most beautiful things about having these kind of conversations is that we're having these conversations, that people are out there engaging each other in a way that I don't have the same experience you do. I would never know that experience unless I delved into your story, which is why we write. Right?
Yeah.
Why we humans, you know, come from a place of empathy when we understand better someone else's journey. It's like, I love that one statement where it says, don't ever know, you never know what someone else is going through. Be kind, right?
Exactly.
And one of the things I really do love about life is that there's so many opportunities that you could never really know that they're opportunities until you jump in. And yeah. I'm a big pay attention girl. So as you go into this next part, like you're only out for, what is it, 4 months, not even 4 months. You've only been published for what? Less than 4 months, right?
Yeah, I'm not even counting.
But it feels like a lifetime involved, right? And all this wonderful, you know, highs, lows, in-betweens come out. You know, looking back, what is the one thing that you would tell yourself starting out when you found out that when your son was born as a micro preemie?
I think I would just be in my ear saying, you're going to get through it. And it's funny, you know, when he was born, I had such rose-colored glasses. Like I always joke that I made a very, very good friend in the NICU who I'm still very close with. And she always talks about the first day she met me and how she went home and said to her husband, I met the nicest and stupidest woman in the NICU. And it's because, you know, I was like, I have a weaker and everything is great. And, you know, I mean, she meant it in a loving way, but it was like, I think I would tell anyone in this situation, keep your rose-colored glasses on in some ways, because it's how you can get through it. That if you believe that it's going to be okay, you're not going to get consumed with the fear that it won't.
You know, I knew I liked you from the beginning, but the fact that you're telling everyone to keep your rose-colored glasses on makes me happy. It makes me so happy. You're like making me happy right now, because I tend to live in the land of Pollyanna, even though I have a very credible resume where I'm a prosecutor and all this other fun stuff. But the reality is that we all get to choose how we walk through this world, right? And my mother told us stress will kill you in life. So you got to figure out a way to see the silver lining, right? And I think with the rose-colored glasses, you are more apt to see and become curious by. So let me ask you this. What has been the thing that has elevated your curiosity in life, having gone through what you've gone through?
I think I'm more curious to take the time to listen to other people's stories even more than before. Because again, what you were saying is you never know what someone's going through. So I'm one of those that when I say, how are you? If you go, I'm good, I'm gonna be like, but are you really? Yeah. Because in this day and age, like no one's really good. And we all need to do our best to create that space that people feel it's okay to say, you know, today is not my greatest day.
Yeah.
And then it's, do you want to talk about it, or do you just want someone to acknowledge that you're not having a great day? So I think, you know, I've opened myself up a lot more to making it easier for people, or to let people know that, you know, if you need to talk, I'll listen.
And then the opportunity for them to be actually vulnerable and honest with you. You open that door, you know, so obviously the question is coming from a place of, I'm here to listen. I really, really mean it, you know, because some people say, how are you? And they're like, fine, fine. Because nobody really wants to hear your stuff. They got enough on their own. So what you're saying is that you're welcoming and opening up, you know, that space for people to meet you there if they need that.
Yep.
That's really beautiful. That's a real huge, I mean, talk about material things and what we value in life. And I think that is something the women, I will say women in general, because the nurturers that we are, men too, men have that quality. But that's very healing. And I think that, you know, we help fortify each other by offering them that that space. So as an amazing author you are, you know, I want to ask you, like, what makes you so magical?
I was gifted great kids that kind of inspired me. I mean, I think my magic comes from these two ridiculous human beings that I am raising. Because they're awesome. And, I had some pretty amazing parents. I see Sophie is on here. She is a friend of mine from France, in fact. And
Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Awesome.
She knew how wonderful my parents were, and she's seen the magic of that. And so I think my magic comes from my family around me, my kids, my parents.
Wow. And then you are probably living that legacy by continuing being an amazing parent for your children as well.
I'm trying to live up to my mother, but it's very hard. She's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. What a gift to have a mom like that. And it's funny because I always turn to my kids if they complain. I said, well, you picked me. So until you fire me, then that is what you got, right? And
yep.
They're like, no, like the normal people. I can't stand it too much because, they're very creative too. So they appreciate that, that's a beautiful thing to recognize. That I hope you tell your mother that if she's still with it. Like, hope you share that.
I did as much as I could. My mom actually passed in 2018.
Well, we'll say that to them now. Thank you if you're listening to us, for sure. But yeah, it sounds to me like you are who you decide to be, you choose to become, and it's all of that we learn through, that curiosity that you're speaking to, that we learn and we can move forward and we can become even more, beautiful as time goes on because of those experiences that we have. And without further ado, I wanted to remind everybody out there that books change lives. And I will say that writing a book, as to Melissa's point, has changed hers, and certainly has the opportunity to inspire yours if you delve into those pages. So I definitely encourage you to get her book. Great writing really does stir our emotions. It gets us feeling. And I think that the more we feel and process our emotions, that's fantastic. And great authors share their vulnerability to the extent that they want to change the world they live in. So I definitely encourage you to celebrate the fact that there are so many great authors out there, certainly Melissa Harris being one of them. And, more and more, that is going to be the difference that we make in the world. Our words will change. So I want to say congratulations again on, I'm so excited. I saw it this morning. I was like, oh my God, we get to celebrate today with Melissa. I want to give you the final word. Is there something that you want to share with everyone who's listening? Tammy's saying wonderful interview. And then, Suzanne's sharing her sympathies with regard to your loss of your mother. Take us away. Take us out.
Oh, wow. There's no pressure there. No, what I was is speaking your truth to set you free. And if you have a truth that you need to speak, find a way to speak it. It will help you. It will help others. It's a very liberating and healing thing. And for me, this book is all about speaking my truth, and it's inspired me to keep speaking my truth. And it feels really good. So I recommend it to everyone.
I love it. So you heard her. Speak your truth and it will set you free. Go out today and do that. Give people the space to have those conversations. Be kind. You never know what someone's going through. And definitely reach out to Melissa if you want her to speak or anything. See how amazing she is. She's a true mover and shaker. Her book, go ahead, show us the cover one more time before we go so people get a good look at it. 1 pound, 12 ounces. It's all about Sam. I've seen Sam, the 11th-year-old that he is now. He's a gorgeous kid. Congratulations on everything. Amazing Authors, episode number 9. Thank you all for joining us. We love you, and go have a great day. Wishing you all bliss. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Melissa.
Bye.